Hey guys, it's Troy. Welcome to another live broadcast from here in the bunker in lockdown London, lockdown South London to be precise, but unfortunately I can't give away the exact location because I'd just be overrun and that would not be a good thing because I need to keep my serenity, guys, because I tell you what, it's been a busy old week. I've been all week at the grindstone putting out or putting together the charisma and dating course, or not putting it together because we filmed it a long time ago, but sort of putting the finishing touches on the charisma and dating academy course, which comes out on the 30th of April to May the 4th. Really in mental lockdown, just focused, doing the marketing, getting all the finishing touches in gear, just getting it all done. It's just been like, thank you very much. Somebody said you're my favorite dating economist. Well, indeed, I think dating is, the dating is an economy. Dating is a marketplace, like any other sort of marketplace, and we need to understand how it works in order to optimize our performance within that marketplace, right? I mean, that's just kind of the way it is. Now, people may say, well, that sounds very cynical, or it doesn't sound very romantic, and I would disagree because I think, yeah, you can be romantic for sure. I mean, there are times when it's appropriate to be romantic, but there are also times when it's necessary to take a step back and to understand how things really operate out there. Actually, I was doing an email to my subscribers earlier, to my email list. And if you're not on my email list, you should join. There's a link below, just below this video. Join the email list because I send out a free email Monday to Friday, usually an article or some observation or sort of piece of advice or a piece of game advice or whatever. Anyway, I was writing an email to the list today, and I was basically making the point that I can't remember what point I was making now. But my mind's gone blank. It's just like I've been so stuck here, just buried underneath with all this work. It's just crazy, right? It'll come back to me in a minute. But anyway, I want to talk about game. Oh yeah, sorry. So I was making the point in that email that we have to understand the marketplace. If you want to get good at this stuff, right? If you want to get the results that you want in the dating marketplace, you have to understand how it works. And the problem that we have is that most people, most guys, let's say, because actually girls tend to understand it better. Women tend to understand it more just like naturally, and because they're more exposed from an early age to social interactions than many guys are. So they kind of just get it. Whereas guys don't commonly understand the dynamics of what's happening in the dating marketplace. And that puts them at a distinct disadvantage, right? Because how the hell can you get good in a field? How the hell can you master a field if you don't even understand the underlying dynamics? And that situation comes about because of societal programming. So for a start, society tells us a load of BS about how dating goes down between men and women and about how the genders relate to one another. So that's the first thing. But then on top of that, the next issue you've got is that things move very, very fast, particularly in a time like this, particularly in 2020. And as I've been saying all along this week, the biggest agent of change, if you like, in the last few years has been the internet, of course. The internet and then smartphones and the apps, so the dating apps and the social media apps, Tinder and Instagram being the two most prominent ones out of that list. Okay, those things have radically changed the way that dating operates on a global scale. Okay, and again, I'm going over old ground here, but I think it's going to be necessary. I think it's necessary to to just say this again because it's so important. It's so key to everything that we're talking about here. The truth of the matter is that the dating app, the dating world has now radically altered because now there's global competition. 10, 15 years ago, there wasn't really global competition, not in the same way that we have it now. Now, today, with the dating apps and with Instagram in particular, there's global competition. So you could be chatting to a girl in the same town as you, and she may be chatting to you, but she could also be chatting to dudes all over the planet, okay? Some of the richest, most well put together guys on the planet, okay? And that has radically altered the way that we operate in terms of dating and getting together. I mean, it's crazy. It's when you think about it, right? How crazy is that the way in which the most fundamental relationship that human beings have, the bonding between men and women, has been so radically altered in the course of just a few years. And nobody really talks about it. I mean, they do talk about it, of course. I mean, there's, you know, 1,000,001 articles about, you know, dating apps and things like that in the mainstream media. So yes, obviously people talk about it, but just like, does anybody really get how seismic this is? I'm not sure that they do. Well, I think some people do, obviously within this space, but I think a lot of people don't. But here's the thing, right? You need to understand the rules of the game. And the other thing is you need to understand how it works from the point of view of the people who are in the top 10%. Now, I've made it basically a career to study what people are doing in the top 10%, because I just find it really fascinating. And obviously I wanted to, you know, take advantage of a few of those lessons myself in my own life, which I have. But I've spent the last, you know, 15 years or so really studying what sort of elite level players, if you like, or elite level guys basically are doing in order to get access, and how they are meeting the most attractive women, and et cetera, et cetera. And, you know, I've befriended some of the most well-known people who are doing this stuff in the world. Some of them are well-known, others of them aren't well-known at all. They're just really, really good, or they're very powerful in society, or they're, you know, whatever. And I think if there's one talent that I've always had, it's of observation. So I'm able to look at what people are doing, and I'm able to break it down very quickly, and to sort of and then to sort of create content that explains it in a simplified form, if you like. And that's obviously on top of the work that I've done myself in the field. So I've spent a lot of very dissolute time, if you like, in places like, I don't know, Moscow, New York, Ibiza, Berlin, London, Amsterdam, all over the place, you know, going to nightclubs, going to bars, going to lounges, going to private parties and things like that, going to some very naughty private parties, particularly in London and Berlin, and observing how men and women operate there, and obviously getting involved myself. And what all of that's given me is a really thorough understanding of the dating marketplace. But look, here's the thing, right? Things are changing all the time. They're changing as a result of technology, but they're also just changing anyway because of societal mores and expectations, and the kind of narrative that we tell one another about how things go down between the genders. And you need to be on top of this stuff, right? And here's the thing, right? The dudes who are in the top 10%, they're not giving away this information. They're not, you know, they're not going to just give away their secrets, right? Because why would they? Okay, why would they tell you exactly how things really go down in the secret society, if you like, when that's of no benefit to them? Okay, I mean, for me it kind of is, because I'm doing it as a job. You know, I'm doing it as a business. You know, I make information products, so I'm kind of passing on, and you know, and there's a what's the word? There's an altruistic aspect to this as well. You know, obviously I want to help guys. So I'm passing on the things I know, having observed and spending a lot of time, you know, researching this stuff and spending my own time in it, if you like. But most of these dudes who are actually in the top 10%, you know, they're not going to be giving this stuff away. You know, why the hell would they? Why the hell would you? Do you know what I mean? If you knew what was really going on in terms of dating, in terms of how many partners that women actually do have, in terms of the promiscuity that's going on, in terms of, you know, the sort of the secret underlying world where people will hook up and it's almost unquestioned and it's not spoken about. You know, if you were part of that world, would you be telling other people about it? Probably not, right? You know, you'd be keeping that information to yourself. Just gonna have a little bit of just a couple of things about hair that people are saying. What are you going to do about a haircut? I got this like kind of little comb thing with some, what do you call it, like blades in it. So I've been using that. That kind of thins it out a little bit. Longer term, I don't know. I could be growing a mullet. So let's see how things go. It'll all be documented on this on this channel, of course. I wish I had Troy's hair. Okay, well, you can have some of it because I'll be cutting some of it off in a bit. So Maybe I'll do it as like a Patreon giveaway or something. Troy, we see the rise in OnlyFans and sugar dating. What's the next major social trend? I think it will become fully acceptable for women not to want to marry beaters, at least without cucking him. Well, yeah, people talk about this, don't they, right? So I think Rollo Tomassi and people like that talk about this thing that certainly that polyamory is becoming socially normalized, and there is this idea that cuckoldry is or soft cuckoldry or whatever you want to call it is now going to become normalized. I mean, yeah, that's quite possible. That's certainly not something that I will be getting involved with, and I think anybody who's watching this, I mean, yeah, that maybe that will start to happen on a wider social scale. But obviously, the advantage that we've got here is that we know not to get involved with that. You know, if you're involved with a woman and it looks like it's going down as some sort of open cuckoldry route, then you know to kick her to the curb and, you know, delete her on all platforms and never look back. I mean, it's as simple as that, right? So, you know, that even if that starts to happen on a wider societal level, that's certainly not something that we need to concern ourselves with. I think what's more interesting to me is how people will get together and what's happening, not what's happening for these beaters who are, you know, marrying these women and getting into those terrible situations. I'm more interested in what the dudes at the top are doing, who are, you know, in their yachts in Monaco or whatever, and they are sleeping with multiple beautiful starlets. I think that's the more interesting thing, because what can we learn from those people, right? So yeah, I wouldn't worry too much about that. I've heard. Yeah, exactly. Okay, so this is more the type of thing I'm talking about. I've heard of top 10% rich American athletes paying for girls' flights to arrive on a Friday afternoon, to have to leave Saturday morning, waiting at the airport for another girl on a red-eye flight on Saturday. Yes, exactly. You see, I mean, this is what interests me, right? What is happening at the top of the spectrum is absolutely crazy. Okay, it's absolutely nuts. And when you understand what's possible, it will really. I mean, sort of, you know. So like red pill. I mean, like you don't need to read blogs and books in order to get red pill. You just need to open your eyes and look at what's happening around you, right? You know, if you want to see the realities of human nature, the realities of female nature, you know, male nature, if you want, or you just have to open your eyes, go to a few parties, talk to people, and it will blow your mind, right? Okay. So yeah, this is more the side of things that I'm really interested in. Do you think dating apps have enhanced opportunities to the average man or hindered him? Okay, right. It's a good question. I sort of think a bit of both, right? Because I think in a way they have hindered them. Because as I keep saying, the problem is that you've now got this globalized competition. So you're not just in competition with the guys in your local town. You're in competition with, you know, some bloke in California or some bloke in Silicon Valley who, you know, who's got his own tech startup and he's worth $1 billion and, you know, whatever. Potentially you've got much more competition than you had before. Having said that, there's no point getting too negative about it, because the other side of that coin is that these same apps and Instagram as well also offer you the opportunity to enter into different marketplaces. Okay, so remember that the sexual marketplace is not just this homogenous thing. It's made up of lots of mini marketplaces, if you like, and in some of those marketplaces you are going to be more appealing than in others. Okay, so you know, if I go to, I've said this before, if I go to like Moscow or I go to Kiev or something, I will get more attention than I'm going to get in London. Okay, and it's not because I suddenly magically become better looking when I'm on the plane, or I suddenly become 2 inches taller when I step through into arrivals. It's because I have a degree of exotic value that I don't have when I'm walking down the street in London. So when I'm walking down the street in London, you know, I'm not saying that nobody ever looks at me, but you know, in general, I'm not like stopping traffic. Okay, when you go somewhere else, the marketplace is different. Now, what the apps do is they give you a great opportunity to dip your toe into different marketplaces, okay, and to sort of test the waters. And what you might find is that there's somewhere where you are, you know, actually quite appealing, because you've got a sort of exotic value. And then on top of that, caveat, viruses aside, you've got relatively cheap and easy transport. sort of flights and so on to get around the world. So actually, in many ways, this is one of the greatest times to be alive as a guy who is single and who wants to get involved with the dating scene. I mean, there are amazing opportunities that even princes and kings wouldn't have had some years ago. So, you know, we live in a time of enormous opportunity and also challenge as well. And you've got to kind of like, you know, you've got to roll with the punches and you've got to look for the positives, I think. Somebody selling unaware naturals, selling incels to true nature. Is your business model mainly educating unaware naturals and selling to the incels the nature of female nature? I don't know if it's either, really. I'm not so focused on selling the realities of female nature. I mean, all of that work's been done by other people. I'm not really interested really in banging on about, you know, women are like this, women are like that. You know, I think there are other people who do that very, very well. I think what I'm interested in is individualism, and I'm interested in allowing guys to develop freedom through having options. And that means options in terms of dating, but also options in terms of actually business opportunities and lifestyle as well, okay? Because that's what I'm interested in myself, right? So yeah, I don't think really either of those things particularly. Yeah, it's obvious reputable information is of great value. With it, you can save time, money, and worries. True. I don't think the top 10% of guys need dating apps. Girls on dating apps aren't anywhere near as hot as IG chicks. Well, yeah, exactly. That's true. And this is why I always include Instagram when I talk about this stuff, because Instagram, you know, the Tates will say Instagram is the predominant dating app in the world now, and it probably is, right? You know, if you've got a blue check mark next to your name and you've got lots of really exotic pictures with your, you know, your pectorals and your six-pack and everything else, and you've got some big cars, yeah, Instagram is an amazing dating app, and that is where the top tier guys are playing for sure. So what do you do in order to break through? And this today's seminar really is meant to be about games, so I should really get to the point, okay? What you need to do, in my view, is you've got to understand this stuff, you've got to know what's going on, and then you've got to utilize what I call holistic game, okay? Now, here's how I see it, right? You might disagree, so let me know in the comments. When I first learned about this stuff, when I first learned that there was sort of like technologies around dating, if you like, it was back in the early 2000s, and it was Reading the Game by Neil Strauss, which is what a lot of people, you know, get into this space through. And I thought it was really interesting, and I thought it sounded quite fun and quite a cool thing to, you know, just to sort of get involved with. I mean, before that, I'd never really been interested in this space. It always seemed a bit seedy to me and a little bit sort of, you know, it was just a little bit grubby, and it wasn't something I was really interested in. And then the game kind of changed everything, because the game was a kind of a popular book, and it was well written, and it sort of made the thing seem, if not cool exactly, it kind of, I mean, certainly the ideas that were advanced in it were better than anything I'd seen before, and it sort of made it it mainstreamed it a little bit. And I thought then, you know, well, this is kind of interesting, and I just started, you know, doing some of the stuff, and then it sort of developed from there. But here's the thing, right? What were they talking about in the main, in that book? They were talking about nighttime games. So they were talking about going to clubs in Los Angeles, meeting up with girls there, using very high energy, sort of like nightclub type maneuvers in order to attract these women to them, and so on and so forth. Then we had what might be called the day game revolution. Okay, so then, and a lot of this was from the UK. You had a load of dudes who suddenly sort of split off from all of that. I mean, in the early days, because I was somebody who was really into clubs, I loved going to clubs and parties and all that kind of stuff. So I was just doing that stuff naturally anyway, and that was where I was meeting the majority of the people that I was dating. But then there were these other guys who said, well, you know, I don't really like clubs. I'm not really into that kind of thing. Also, you have to pay a lot of money. You've got to deal with a lot of like cop blocks and people coming in and messing things up, and just annoyances and stuff like that. So what you should do instead is this thing called day game. And day game was basically, as it suggests, game, but during the daytime. So it was going out to somebody in the street, or in a coffee shop, or a lounge, or a mall, or something like that, and meeting them then. And there are some distinct advantages to doing that. Namely, you don't have to pay a cover charge. You don't have to wear a smart shirt. You don't have to spend any money on drinks. There's no loud music playing, unless you're in a shop where there's loud music playing. And often the people that you're talking to will be on their own, so you don't necessarily have to deal with like hundreds of people and stuff like that. As well, there's something else about it as well, which is quite good, which is that the sort of defensiveness is perhaps less during the daytime, because if it's an organic sort of meeting, say you're in a Whole Foods or something like that, and you meet as you're looking at the artichokes. Then there's something sort of quite organic about that, not just organic like that, but like organic about that meeting. And I think to women, if it's done nicely, that can seem quite cool. It's not just some sleazy guy in the club who's like, hey babe, it's just quite an organic and nice kind of a thing. So if you can create that vibe when you're doing your approaches, then that can play in your favor. And where if she was in the club dressed up to the nines and surrounded by 8 of her friends, she may have given you short shrift, but because it's in the daytime and you seem cool, maybe she gives you a bit more of a chance. So there's that as well. And then there's also obviously the dating apps. So you have people who specialize in talking about dating apps. There are lots and lots of guys who create sort of books and courses talking about Tinder, talking about, how to meet people on Bumble, Hinge, what to do, how to get your profiles right, and all this kind of stuff. Then there's social circle game. Now, social circle game is more like the normal idea of how people meet. It's through your social circle, right? And some people actually extended that, and they were doing what they call entourage game, which was getting groups of people together to go to a nightclub together, and then you'd get lots of attractive girls to come to you to the nightclub, and then you'd almost through a natural process throughout the night, some of those girls you become more sort of conversational with and intimate with, and then you take it from there. But the thing about all of this, right, was that all of these types of game seemed to me to become very fragmented. It was very sort of everyone was very niched in terms of what they were talking about. Okay, so you get day game specialists who will only talk about day game, and that's all they talk about. Then you get people who are like nighttime specialists, and that's all they're interested in talking about. It's all about like, what do you do when you get to the club? How do you hold your drink? Do you stand by the bar, or do you walk around, or what do you all of that stuff. And then you get people who are who are dating app specialists, effectively. Their main thing is dating apps. That's all they talk about, etc., etc. My view for quite a long time has been that actually what you need to do is a mixture of everything. Okay, and I call it holistic game because it's basically using the best of all of those things in order to create a strategy where you are always on, right? So what you want to be, right, is it's not so much about whether you're in a nightclub or whether you're in a clothing store or whether you're in the local coffee shop or in an airport or whatever it is, right? It's not so much about the environment, it's about you, and it's about you becoming that like sex-worthy guy, as Julian from RSD used to say, who is prepared, who is just so comfortable in his own reality that he is able and prepared to go and just start a conversation wherever he is, right? It doesn't matter. You don't have to specialize in day game or night game or anything else, because fundamentally, as much as people will argue differently, the dynamics are very similar, okay? I mean, yeah, you have to talk a bit louder if you're in a nightclub, right? You might have to talk over some like techno record or something, but fundamentally what you're doing is not that different. There are differences, of course, and we can go into those, but attraction is attraction, okay? If you can spark attraction in one environment, you can spark it in another. So what I don't like to see really is clients who are, they get into this stuff and then they are going to the, going out and having to do a massive long day game session, and they have to, they feel like they've got to go out for 7 hours and talk to 5 million people and everything else. I mean, I think at the beginning, that's absolutely that's a good thing to do, right? And it will help you to break through your resistance. It will help you to break through your shyness, your sort of feeling of like social anxiety, fear of the spotlight effect, like of people watching you and stuff. For sure, that's great. But what you want to do, the purpose of doing that is not that you keep doing that forever. The purpose of doing it is so that you become comfortable enough to do it, that then you don't have to do it all the time. And then you're just the kind of guy who, if you see somebody that you like, you're able to just go and organically start that conversation with them, okay? It's not like some weird thing where you're like going around with a tape recorder and, whatever. It's just like, the way, and then you want to be working on yourself. And that's when, people will say, yes, but, it's all about becoming a high quality man. If you just, work on yourself and get ripped and get rich and all of that, then they'll come to you. Well, you still need to know game, but, there is some value in that. Sure. I mean, you need to do self-improvement. You need to work on yourself. So ideally, what you do is you get this stuff down quite quickly. You get the mindsets right. You get some of the tactics right, and the tactics are very simple, and they're pretty similar for daytime and nighttime as well, to be honest. And then you get on with your life. You get on with the rest of your life. So then you're building your business, you're building your fitness, you are building your personal brand or whatever it is you want to do. And then just in between, you're out and about and you talk to a girl, you get a phone number here, you get an Instagram there, blah, blah, blah. This needs to become something that's just part of your routine, okay? It just needs to become part of your, your process. Now, so John, Modern Life Dating, right? What does he talk about? He talks about money, muscles, game. And he says you need to be working on all of them every day, okay? So every day, money, muscles, game. What are you doing to move yourself forward in those key areas, okay? So have you worked on your business? Or if you're in a job, have you done whatever in your job to like take it the extra mile or whatever? Have you looked for another job that's going to be better paying? If you're in sales, have you been looking for another job where maybe the commission's going to be better, or it's a better product, or there's better support or whatever, right? Muscles, have you gone out and done some exercise today? Have you maybe not been to the gym today because of the global lockdown, but have you done exercise today? Have you done some, whatever you like your home routine is? Have you gone out for a run? Have you gone out and done cycling? Whatever. Dating, have you been on, and here's the thing, right, as well. So some people are very agnostic about the apps, they don't really like dating apps. I'm personally, man, I'm all for clients using dating apps. I'm not, I don't pretend to be a dating app specialist. I've certainly done enough on them in my time to be able to talk about them quite, with value. It's never been, I've never portrayed myself as like, I'm a Tinder expert, just do these 3 things and, this is going to get you amazing results. But I certainly think guys should be on it for sure, because why not, right? I mean, look, there is no doubt that, that dating apps are weighted towards towards aesthetically attractive guys, right? I mean, that that just stands to reason, doesn't it? You'd be foolish to think it was anything else other than that. Obviously, the better you look in the pictures, if you're ripped and you've got great muscles and everything else, if you've got some really cool pictures, that's going to play well. Now, you can spend time tweaking those things, of course, and you should be doing that. But being realistic, yes. Tinder and those apps are very much geared towards visual attractiveness. Okay, so if you're top 10%, then great, you're gonna smash it. That's fine. If you're not, then you still want to be on them, because it's just another sourcing mechanism, right? But you don't want to make it your own thing, right? So you want to be on them and you want to be swiping. And look, you don't have to spend loads of time on this. You saw your pictures, you saw your profile, and then, you're just, when you're cooking your dinner or whatever, you just sit down, you're doing a little bit of swiping, maybe send a couple of messages, chuck the phone away, right? You're not spending hours and hours on it, right? It's just part of your routine. But then when you go to the laundrette to go and pick up your dry cleaning and you see there's a cute girl in the queue in front of you, you start a conversation with her. Then you're like, hey, so look, it was really cool talking to you. I've got to go because I'm going to a meeting now, but we should meet for coffee sometime. Give me your number. Pass her the phone. She puts the number in the phone. Now she's in the pipeline, okay? This is what it's all about. It's about pipelining, right? So you're using this always on thing. Then maybe, you're at work, you've got some business meetings. Then you go out in the evening because you've got to meet, like an old colleague, and he's got maybe a business proposition for you, or he's thinking about, doing a change of career. He wants to get some advice. You go to the bar. It's busy in the bar. When you go over to order drinks, there's a cute girl standing at the bar. You turn to her, say, hey, how's it going? You kind of look kind of interesting. I just want to say hi. You get talking to her. Then your drinks are poured. You pay the money and you say, listen, I've got to go back because I'm talking to my friend about some business stuff. But, be cool. We should definitely connect in the week. Give me your number. I'll drop you a message. Hand her the phone. She gives you a number. Now she's in the pipeline, okay? Meanwhile, on Tinder, you've got a match. You've been chatting to her backwards and forwards. You're like, oh, you look funny in that picture. Is that your real hair? Ha, ha, ha. Or whatever it is. Backwards and forwards a little bit. Then you're like, listen, I don't always come on here, to be honest. So it'd be great if we could it would be great, let's connect on WhatsApp because I tend to use WhatsApp more. Get a number. Now she's in your pipeline, okay? All of this, you're getting new contacts into your pipeline, and you want to be doing this all the time. Maybe you don't go to clubs very much anymore, but one night it's your friend's birthday. He's like, yeah, we're going to the club. Do you want to come? You're like, yeah, whatever, fine. I'll come for a couple of hours. You go down there, it's all flashing lights, loud music. There's this really cute blonde girl on the dance floor. You watch her as she walks over to the bar. You think, okay, say to the guys, excuse me, I'm just going to go and talk to that girl. Go over, start chatting to her. And then you're like, listen, I know you're with your friends. I'm with some people now. Let's exchange details, blah, blah, blah. Now, people will, okay, that last one is maybe not the best example because obviously nightclubs are a little bit different. And people will say, and there'll probably be people in the chat now saying, getting numbers in nightclubs doesn't work anymore. That's not true, okay? It absolutely does work if you make a good impression in person to person. The girl that I'm with now, we met in a club, okay? I tried to escalate in the club. She wasn't having it, or she was with a load of friends and, whatever. But I got her number and and then after the next day I was texting her, she responded. We end up going out and that was it. So the idea that, you can't get a number in a nightclub anymore, it doesn't work, is not true, right? It does work if you're making a good impression, if you have that magnetic, charismatic, slightly bad boy personality type, which we've been talking about all week. And this is why it's so important that you work on the mindset stuff, so that when you meet her in person, you make that impression on her that she's going to bloody remember you the next day, even though she was drunk, even though she was all over the place. She's still going to remember you, and she's still going to reply to your message. Because look, let's not be stupid about this. Girls love to have sex. Girls want to meet guys. Girls want to connect as much as you do, right? So she's not going to be thinking, well, if she's insane, she might be thinking it. But most girls who are normal aren't going to be thinking, oh, I met him in a nightclub, so I'm not going to respond to him. I only respond to Tinder guys. It's not like that, right? If she thinks you're cool, it doesn't matter where you met her. You could have met her in the club. You could have met her in the bloody bakery, Starbucks, whatever. If you've made that impression, then she's going to remember. If you've made that like sexual sort of like that sexual sort of like undercurrent, and she's felt it, she's going to remember, and then she's going to reply to your message, okay? So, and of course, listen, we won't go too much into club game now because, yes, it really, in many cases, you want to be trying to escalate things further on the night out because it's possible. You could end up going home with somebody. So that's really what you want to be doing. But, it depends what your schedule's like, right? One of the reasons I stopped doing nightclub game as much was because if you do nightclub stuff, you need to be prepared to follow it through, right? You need to be prepared to you've kind of got to stay there until 7 a.m. or whatever, whenever the place closes, because you're going to escalate it, because you're going to take it to the nth degree. If you don't have the time for that because you've got a work schedule, because you've got to be up the next day, then you're just not going to be able to do that, okay? So, you know, that's why I kind of stopped, because it's sort of like, well, I might as well, you know, if you're not going to be able to take it through to the final stage, then why even bother? But the reality is that you can still get contact details in clubs and they still work, okay? You can still get contact details in lounges, in bars, and it still works. They're still going to respond to you if you present in the right way, okay? That's why all of that stuff that we've been talking about earlier in the week is so important. That's why the mindset stuff, the charisma stuff, the bad boy stuff, the radical differentiation stuff is so important, because it's all about how you come across in the moment. Is she going to remember you or not, okay? Richard Jetson says all over the place. Thank you very much, Richard. The Rob and I says, try. I hope you're wearing that pirate hat when you met her. I wasn't, but I was wearing some quite strange stuff, because it was kind of like a fancy dress kind of a thing. It was actually a bit of a kinky party where we met, actually. So show us the pirate hat. Hang on a second. I think I've got the pirate hat over here. Here's the pirate hat. Here's the pirate hat. Yeah, it's Friday. It's time for a pirate party. Yeah, I don't recommend that you wear a pirate hat when. I don't recommend that you wear a pirate hat when you go out, unless you're going to go to Mogadishu, like Mark Zollo did, and do all of that. Any more comments? So, what about creating your own brand as being a major way to differentiate yourself? I'm going to take this off. It depends. What do you mean by that? Do you mean do you mean creating your own brand in a business sense, or do you mean creating like the brand of you in order to? That's how you're going to present yourself when you go out. If you just clarify that a little bit, because I'm not quite sure what you mean by that. Also, there's one here actually. I lived in England for a bit, or so my O-levels, and then I moved to the States for college. I miss fit birds, lol. I'm not sure there are that. Well, is there that many like fit birds in England though? I don't know. I mean, people always complain about English girls, which is slightly unfair, I have to say, because there are. I mean, like anywhere, there are some incredibly attractive British English girls, as well as some who are less so. I don't know where you moved to in the States, but I mean, I think that's true in the US as well, right? I mean, I think in some areas in the US, I mean, there are some very attractive American girls. I've dated American girls. I've never been a massive fan, to be honest, but I have dated a few, so sort of in New York and stuff like that, and yeah, you get some good ones for sure. Right, okay, so let's now move on to talk about what needs to be in a conversation when you go to talk to the girl. Okay, now here's the thing. In my view, and again, people will shoot me down, but this is just my experience. This is just how it's been for me. People like to say there's a massive difference between what you do in the daytime and what you do in the nighttime. Okay, and I think, right, people do that for commercial reasons, right? So dating coaches will say, "Oh, well, of course, night game. It's very different. You've got to know these 12 principles of night game, because otherwise you'll just get blown out. Because you've got to look cool in the nightclub, and if you don't understand the ways of the club, then or the ways of the Vegas pool party or whatever, Similarly, day game people will say, "Oh, no, day games." Totally different. You've got to know how to do it in the daytime. So you can't go in with that massively high energy like you do in the club, right? It's got to be different, because otherwise, you're going to you're going to get blown out. For myself, personally, and I've been doing both for many years, right? And some of the most successful times that I've had, I've done both, right? This is why I recommend it, because some of the most successful times I've been sort of like going out during the daytime and doing daytime approach, and then going to the club in the evening, and actually then how can I put it, stealing the deal in the evening, if you like, at the club, you know. So the return on investment from the day game may not have been good, but I made up for it in the evening. And the reason that's happened is in part because of the momentum that I built up from doing a lot of daytime approach. So approaching any sort of approach is not wasted, right? Because like the more that you do in whatever circumstance, the more momentum you're building up. But here's the key thing. In my experience, what you do and what you say in terms of an approach doesn't have to be that different, whether it's daytime or whether it's nighttime. I personally have never done anything markedly different in daytime approach than what I've done in nighttime approach, okay? Basically, all I ever do, and this is what you need to have in an approach conversation to make it effective, basically all I ever do is I tend to go direct in most circumstances. So I would recommend that you go up, you speak to her, and you address her with radical honesty, and you just tell her what is on your mind. You just tell her what you want, okay? And this is getting close to the Robert Greene stuff. Sorry, not Robert Greene, the Mode 1 stuff, okay? By Alan Roger Curry. It's a very good book, worth reading if you haven't read it. I don't go as far as he does because he goes very sexual in the approach in that book. I don't recommend that, but I do recommend radical honesty. That is to say, you walk up and you tell her that you like her. You walk up and you tell her that you think she's attractive, okay? I've done that in the daytime. I've done that in nightclubs. I've done that all over the world, and it tends to work. Why does it tend to work? Because that's what you do want, right? Because you're being authentic. You're telling the truth. Okay, like, you know, and let's be honest. Then these women aren't stupid, right? They know that you're into her. She knows that you're into her anyway. Okay, she's not an idiot in most cases. So, you know, if you walk up to her and you're in a nightclub and you think, oh, well, I'm in a nightclub now, so I need to go indirect because I've got to look cool, because if I don't go indirect and I go direct, then she might, you know, think I'm just one of those club guys and I've got to sort of like hide behind this facade. Well, sod it. You just go up and say, hey, I just saw you. I think you look really cute. My name's Troy. What's yours? You know, just go up and tell her what you want, right? And there are massive advantages to this. The first advantage really is that it kind of, well, like I say, she kind of knows anyway, so you might as well just front it. And secondly, it gets the interaction off on the right foot, okay? It gets the interaction off with the frame that you're just a guy who's just honest about how he feels, and he's going to go and say what he wants, right? You know, that's how I would rather frame it. You know, I would rather be that dude who just, you know, is up front and just goes and says what he thinks and what he wants, rather than being somebody who beats around the bush and then kind of maybe gets around to it in the last, you know, couple of minutes. You know, oh, by the way, maybe you might, you know, maybe we could go for a drink sometime if you like. You know, like, stop that. I mean, just be upfront about it. Just say, look, this is why I'm coming over, because I think you're cute. I'm a guy, you're a girl. This is what happens. This is how things work, right? You know, so you want to do that, and then, but here's the thing, right? Of course, you don't want to supplicate, right? So Corentin says a bit of nuance here. Radical honesty works if you appear high value. Radical honesty when low value equals creep. Okay, well, yeah, there's some truth in that. So you also need to work on yourself. You also need to, you know, you also need to do the fundamentals, right? You need to work on your grooming. You need to work on your fashion. You need to work on your verbal dexterity. And all of that stuff. You know, you need to look cool. You need to have washed in the last week or month. Yeah, you know, you need to. Yeah, so there has to be a fundamental sort of foundation, right, in order for this to be successful. But the problem is that if you're low value, then she's going to think you're a creep anyway, right? You're not going to sort of like, this is the thing, right? You can't think, well, I'm low value, so I'm going to go indirect and I'll sort of go under the radar. She's still going to think you're a creep, okay? So, you know, in a sense, why not just go for it and get rejected? You know, this is the other beautiful thing about direct, right? It cuts the crap, okay? Because if you're anything like me, I don't like to waste time. You know, I'm very time driven. I don't like to mess around in personal relationships. I mean, yes, you need to go a little bit at her pace to some degree at the beginning. You know, you need to have a bit of humor, a bit of flirtation. There needs to be that seductive dance going on. But in the end, you want to kind of know that you're going in the right direction. Because if you're not, to be honest, I'd rather just be at home watching Netflix. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to waste time with somebody if it's not going in the correct direction. So that's why I like to be upfront at first and just go over and say, you know, I think you're cute. I think you're, you know, this is just the kind of dude I am, right? Because here's the thing, right? You want to come across like you're just that guy, okay? You want to come across like not the sort of guy, not like you're watching videos like this every night. You want to come across as being like, I am just authentically the type of dude who, this is just what I do, right? You know, I'm just the kind of guy, I go around, if I see someone I like, I go up and tell them, and I start a conversation with them, because that's who I am, okay? And that is going to stand you in good stead. And it's also going to stand you in good stead in terms of her classifying you as a sort of sexual potential, because, you know, she will give a degree of leeway to guys who are just that guy. You know, if you're like, oh, he's just that guy. He's just very upfront, very flirty, very sexual. You know, that's just how he is. She will put you in that box. Whereas if you are the diffident, friendly type of guy who takes a long time to warm up, then she'll put you in another box, and it's not really a box that you want to be in, okay? So I think it's always better to risk coming across as a bit creepy to get to the point, rather than sort of like mess around and waste time. He's put here. So he said, I meant the brand of you and your professional brand. You have to be the complete guy all round. Well, I'm still not quite sure. I mean, look, I've got a brand of me in the sense that, you know, I'm doing these videos and I've got my Charisma and Dating Academy course coming out April 30th till May 4th. Email below, sign up for more details. But so I've got a brand of me in that sense, right? And I'm putting out content and everything else, but that's not really helping me in terms of dating. Actually, a lot of the time it's really hindering me in terms of dating, I can tell you, because I'm not saying, well, I don't know. How do you, again, like, tell me what you mean. Tell me how you mean, because like, obviously the area that I'm in is potentially slightly sensitive, but, you know, I will say to a girl, yeah, you know, I work in, I create content, I do some YouTube, I write articles and things like that. But I'm not sure that in itself is really, I think you're getting more towards, I think what you mean is something more like, you know, you've got to be a good all-rounder. You've got to be yourself in business as well as in game. And if that's kind of what you mean, then I would agree with that. But I mean, I don't know, if you were somebody like Grant Cardone, for example, and you weren't married, then you could walk into the club and you'd be like, hey, I'm Grant Cardone. Let's get it on, sort of thing. And maybe that would work. I don't know. I'm not quite sure that's what you mean. Anyway, maybe clarify again and let me know if I'm on the right tracks. So what's he put here? There's no chivalry. There's no strategy. Chivalry, dating, loyalty, love, kindness, family, romance. Marriages are all 6 feet under. If a guy's in Chad Brad, he's nobody important to girls, period. Okay, but what does it mean to be Chad, right? That's the thing. So what he's probably going to say is, well, it means you've got to have, you know, your jaw's got to be these certain measurements, and your cheekbones have got to be like this, and you've got to do blah, blah, blah. You know, he's probably going to take it down to looks. But we know that's not true, because you only have to go to any nightclub, any night of the week, and you will see good-looking guys standing at the sidelines with their drinks close to their chest, not getting any action, and you'll see dudes who are less physically appealing, going in there and being the life and soul of the party and actually ending up getting some quite good results. So it depends. So he's right that you need to be Chad, and he's probably right, to be honest, about the other stuff. Chivalry, who cares about that, right? I mean, it's a cynical worldview, and it's not one that I entirely disagree with. But I think the key thing for us here is, what does he mean? What does Chad mean? Actually, Chad is an attitude, right? And if you can develop Chad attitude, then you can start to get some good results in this dating market, which is exactly what my course is about. Because this isn't about becoming, a millionaire and having like 17 Lambos and, and all the rest of it. This is about, okay, so how do I embody the Chad when I go into the approach in order to get, the results that I want? And it can be done, because a lot of this stuff is mindset, right? If you create the reality where you are that guy, then she's going to buy into it, right? Sorry, I'm lagging a little bit here. Apologies. I've had some internet problems this week. I think it's because everyone's like on lockdown. I think in the building there's probably like loads of people just sitting at home watching pornography or something. So it's kind of slowing everything down. Right, Rob and I says, I find the problem with nightclubs is that women know they will be approached, so that the shield entitlement factor can get to their heads, making approaches slightly tiresome at times. Yes, that's correct. Yes, that's right. Which is why I recommend that you also do daytime approach, and you also do the dating apps as well. This is the point, you see. When you're optimizing a strategy of holistic game, what it means is that you've got different streams of revenue, if you like, but realistically different streams of new contacts coming into your funnel from different sources all the time, and that's what you want to do, right? That's where you want to be. What about that guy we see in the nightclub with 5 sexy girls all around him? I don't know. Is it Andrew Tate? I don't know. Well, you need to look at him and work out what he's doing, right? And you need to find out what, if anything, from that you can emulate. This is the fascinating thing about this field, right? It's sort of like, okay, so if there are some people who are naturals, this is why I wrote that book, Approach Her Like Chad, because it's like, well, okay, if there are dudes who are like naturals, who are just naturally good in this field, who just get, know what to say, do the right thing every time, instead of being like butthurt about it, you want to think, well, okay, so what can I learn? What can I take from that? Okay. And as I say, so much of this stuff is not about looks. It's not about money. It's not really about height or any of that kind of stuff. It's about how you come across, because if you come across like you're the man, like you're that guy, then she's going to feel that energy. She's going to buy into it. She's going to believe it. And then she is going to fall for you. Okay. That's kind of how it works, right? Objective reality is not so much the point here, right? This is about embodying the spirit of the Chad. This is about creating the character of the Chad when you go out, okay? And I teach you exactly how to do this in the course, right? And this is the stuff, that might sound a little bit woo-woo. That might sound like, but this is the stuff that changed up the game for me, okay? So when I was, I got into this stuff in my 20s, overnight, the results that I was getting completely shot up. I mean, it went crazy. It went nuts within the period of a couple of weeks or a few months, right? Was it because I became better looking? No. Was it because I put on loads of muscles? No. Was it because, I suddenly got loads of money and bought a Lambo? No, it wasn't any of that stuff. It was the attitudinal change and the consequent behavioral change that came across in the interactions I was having. I mean, if you give me a guy, if you send a client to me, right, within 2 weeks, well, depending on how much of a hard case he is, right, but within a couple of sessions, if he isn't like a real hard case newbie, within a couple of sessions, I could send him out to the club and he would come across totally differently from how he came across before, and his results would reflect that, okay? This isn't about saying, right, I've got to now work on my business for 17 years so that I become a millionaire. It's not saying, right, I'm going to go to the gym 15 times a week so I've got like an amazing six-pack or whatever. It's not about any of that stuff. It's about your attitude about yourself and how you project that in social situations, all right? What can I say? It works. It was the pirate hat. I don't know. I do quite like this pirate hat, but I don't know. It's yeah. I've always quite liked pirate stuff. It's pretty cool. I don't know. Maybe I'll try it. Maybe I should try it one time. I could wear it actually and do some infield videos. I could actually wear it just around London and like in the daytime, do some infield videos, and we'll see how it comes out. I can't. My hair's fucking all over the place now. This is why I need a haircut. You see, they're saying now in the UK that the hairdressers might not be open for another 6 months, so things are going to get pretty nasty. I think over here. I don't know what that's referring to. Yeah, cool. Okay, all right. Anyway, so your initial approach, right? It needs to incorporate. You need to go over. You need to tell her what you want. You need to tell her that you're attracted to her, or at least sub-communicate that strongly. So that can be through eye contact, the way that you position yourself in relation to her, proximity, touch, and all of those things. You need to make it very clear that this is, a man to woman interaction, that you are interested in getting to know her in a dating context, etc., etc. And then you need to tease her a bit, right? You need to find ways to sort of spice things up a little bit. You need to accuse her. You need to position her as being the bad girl and you as being the innocent kind of gentleman who's just been ensnared by her wiles, if you like. And then you need to go for the contact details, okay? And this is the most important thing. These interactions don't need to be very long. They don't need to be going for hours, right? What you need to do is have the interactions go on for so long, and then you take the contact details at the end, and then she's in the pipeline, right? And once you've got the new contact in the pipeline, then you can start to work with it, right? This is a process. This is like sales. This is like business, okay? If you're going out, you're prospecting for new clients the whole time, you're getting those new clients into the pipeline, and then you're pitching them over the phone, right? That's all you're doing. All of these interactions, they don't need to last very long. They don't need to be particularly serious. They don't need to be particularly in depth. You're not talking about your life story. You're getting them into the pipeline, right? But as I said, the way that it's going to stick is how you come across. So if you come across in a magnetic, charismatic way with a little bit of a bad boy edge to you, you're differentiated from other guys. She's going to remember, she's going to feel an emotion with that. And so then when you message her, she's going to respond, or she's more likely to respond, okay? This is what we teach. This is what Charisma and Dating Academy is all about, okay? Somebody's just said, it'd be nice. Okay, well, energy is very important, okay? So you want to go in ideally with like more energy than she's showing. That's the classic thing that people always say about this. You want to go in with energy. You want to go in with purpose as well, right? You want to go in like, hi, I saw you. You look really cute. What's your name? I'm Troy. You're going in, you're giving it some energy, you're giving it some purpose, right? So yes, that is important, and we'll talk about that more another time. People are arguing in the chat with Alec. I'm not sure. Modern life dating is touching himself. Right now, perhaps, well, Pixar, it didn't happen, man. I mean, actually, no, we don't need to see that. We don't need to see that on the stream. All right, look, anyway, I've got to get going in a minute because it's past my bedtime. But Charisma and Dating Academy, this is the stuff that we teach you. These are the mindset techniques that we teach you because it's the way that you come across in person when you guys meet that is going to push the envelope for you, that's going to take you to where you want to go. You go in, you make a good impression because you've got that swagger, because you've got that charisma, because you've got that bad boy edge to you, because you've got that radical differentiation. You go in, you do a very simple interaction, you get the contact details, then she's in the pipeline, then you start messaging her. She's going to have had an emotional response to that. Even if you didn't talk for very long, you only talk for a few minutes, doesn't matter. She's going to remember you, right? I've talked to girls years ago that I've met doing day game, and they still message me now. We only spoke for 5 minutes, right? It's crazy, yes, but they remember it because they remember the emotion. This is what it's about, okay? It's about creating that persona that's going to be sticky, that she's going to remember, that she's going to be emotionally affected by, and that she's going to want to pursue things with, okay? Once she's in the pipeline, once she's in your phone, you've got the numbers in your phone, then you're messaging them. Some of them are going to fall off. Some of them are not going to respond, whatever. It doesn't matter because you're always bringing new ones into the pipeline. This is holistic game, okay? This is being always on. This is the process. But if you do that, then you are going to be getting more activity than 95% of the population, guaranteed, because most people are not doing this. Most guys are not doing this. They're relying on one or other method, and they're not doing it very well, or they're doing it, but they're half-assing it. They're not coming across correctly, right? So this is what we teach you. Charisma and Dating Academy, 5 days enrollment, okay? So it's out on April the 30th, which is next Thursday, and then the cart is open until Monday, May the 4th. In that time, you can enroll in the course. You get a 10-hour video product, professionally filmed by me, going into all of this stuff in massive detail. You also get Zoom webinars in May. So we get 2 per module. So there's 10 in total, where we'll go do a deep dive into all of the techniques that I discuss in the course. We'll do in-person tutoring with the guys on the call. The first 10 guys to sign up for the course get 1 hour Skype consultation or Zoom consultation with me as well for free. You also get a copy of my Infields product, so you'll get to see me actually doing this stuff in real life, not just like talking about it, actually doing it genuinely with real life girls. So that alone is worth the price of admission. You'll get some copies of my books, and there's other bonuses as well. So if you want information on that, the link is below. Just get on my email list, because I'm sending information out to my email list. There's a really important email going out tonight, right, with more information on this stuff. So if you want that, it goes out in about 3 hours time. So yeah, sign up on the link below to my email list, and you'll get more information on all of this stuff very soon. But be on board for that email tonight, because there's some key stuff in there, and you also get another free video as well, exclusive video. Okay, listen. Anyway, I've got to leave it there because I've got to eat something and chill and everything else. But I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you got something from it. Do leave a comment below. Do subscribe to this channel. Let me know what you thought. And we will speak again very soon. Bye-bye.